What's up, duelists? Every other day, someone's like, yo, Keegan, can you please play X-Sabers again? Yo, Keegan, can you please play X-Sabers again? Yo, Keegan, can you please play X-Sabers again? And today I finally listened to my comment section. Even though I genuinely shouldn't, I finally listened to you guys, and I decided to play X-Sabers again. I got two matches for you. I'm going to explain the deck list a little bit. I feel like my deck list explanations kind of get lost in the sauce sometimes, but I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background info on the deck list. Of course, you got to have triple Fall Troll. It's the best card in the deck. And then you got to play 3 of all the good X-Saber monsters. And I think you do need to play 2 Ragagura because he's how you hand loop people, more or less. So I think he's really good. He also enables 1-for-1, which is like just a free name in play. It lets you sort of put 2 names in play in one turn, which is really important. So I think you need to play him. He's really good. You'll see in the replays, he's really good. Rescue Cat, of course, is very broken. I don't play Summoner Monk. I do play Giant Rat. I think all of the spell cards are too important to pitch to Summoner Monk, except for maybe Book of Moon. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Giant Rat in this deck because Giant Rat just gets you directly to Cat, and it also keeps you your normal summon for another X-Saber like Emmer's Blade or whatever. So I think Giant Rat's a little bit more, I don't know. I just think he's a little bit more stable than Summoner Monk. Summoner Monk can brick. Summoner Monk is a completely dead card after Cat's been used, or if like you've drawn double Airbellum, whereas Giant Rat is still a good card actually after you've drawn double Airbellum or whatever. I also don't like playing Raikou. I know a lot of people will play it if they play the Cat, but it's just like adding kind of a mid card to your deck that you don't really want. Milling's okay, like it can set up for E-Call or Fall Troll, but it's just, I don't know. I'm not really a fan of it. I love Tragodia in this deck. I also do love Level Limit Area B. I think these are staples in X-Saber. I don't think you can play X-Saber without Tragodia or Level Limit Area B. I think these are just key cards. Cool thing about Tragodia is it also works under Level Limit Area B as long as you have a low level to copy with him. You can build your own like sort of great defense Shogun or whatever where you attack for big damage and then on their turn he's switched to defense so you don't take big damage. So it's kind of tight. Road, of course, for full helm, all the sweeper spells, you got to play them so you can go for your Fall Troll turn. Triple book, combos with full helm knight. It outs things like Christia. Well, it doesn't out Christia, but it puts it face down so you can actually play the game. It outs things like Christia, so it's pretty important that you have this card. It also helps deal with Black Wings, which is a pretty bad matchup. Brain Mind, of course. Double Gotham's E-Call. I think 2 is a good number. I brick on it sometimes still at 2, but nowhere near as much as when it's at 3. I do like Starlight Road. I do like Call of the Haunted. I think Call of the Haunted is like a safer replacement for the 3rd Gotham's E-Call. A lot of times you are going to have one dude in the graveyard, and you just need to bring back that one dude so you can normal another dude and then go for the Fall Troll play, basically. Then Solemn Judgment, Double D Prison. I'm not playing Bottomless here because Zombies is the most popular deck, so I'm starting D Prisons, not Bottomlesses. Mirror Force, of course, and Trap Dust Shoot, of course. Sideboard, we got Cyber Dragons for Machina. We got 1 Dyna. You can search it off Rat or Sangain, so it's pretty easy to find it. 1 Kaiku helps prevent DD Crow, helps run stuff over. Gores, of course, for defense against like Lightsworn and stuff. Lightning Vortex, pretty solid. I might cut the Gores. He hasn't really been that great, but yeah. We got Gravity Bind, another level limit effect, basically. Mind Crush is a card I've been playing with more and more lately. It's really good against Christia Sworn, which is just a super popular deck right now, and it's pretty good against some of the other decks too, like Heroes and whatnot. Then we got 1 Bottomless, 1 Torrential for Black Rings, and 2 Light Mirror for Christia Sworn and Fairies. So, yeah, that's that. Let's go ahead and check out the replays. First replay is against Sasha. I do get to go first. Love to see it. If you're an X-Saber fan, you love to see it. And you know what else? If you're an X-Saber fan, you have to subscribe to my channel because look at this hand. Now imagine this hand with any card but Tragodia. It's terrible. But because we have Tragodia, this hand's actually really good. We can just set Emrys and chill. Opponent summons Alchemist, which makes me pretty happy because they blind miss. Now, I'm actually really curious to see what their opening potential was. They have Herald, they have Honest, they have Dust Shoot. I mean, I guess it works. They run over the Emrys. We grab another Emrys, they set 2, and they pass, we get Dust Shooted. I think it's insane they didn't set the Mirror Force. I didn't set a back row last turn, so what are the chances I'm going to set one this turn? Dust Tornado just isn't live, so just set the Mirror Force. I don't know. Maybe they're worried about Hyunlei, but if I go for Hyunlei, they can just Herald it, and it's a 2 for 2. So, yeah, I think you have to set Mirror Force. Because what if I just switch my Emer's Blade and attack your Dialk? You're never honesting there. Like, you're just losing a card for free. Like, that's really bad for you. And you're losing to what I already have, you know? And Dust Shoot can also take my tuner and see what back row so you can play around it. You don't need to set your Dust Tornado here. You definitely want to set your Mirror Force here. Anyway, misplay from the opponent, but it's going to work out really well for us. Because we're going to be able to summon our Airbellum, switch the Emer's Blade, and this is just, like, fucking insane. Like, this is such a good situation for us because they played so weird. They played so weird here. Now, they could have heralded to negate the Emer's Blade, but they end up heralding to negate the Airbellum. I don't fully understand it. I go for Ragigura because I just want my +2, basically. I just want to add back my Emer's Blade. I'll attack directly with Airbellum. I want to keep my hand stacked for Tragodia, and I'm thinking maybe he summons a monster, attacks my Ragigura, and I can drop Trag. That'd be kind of cool. Airbellum's going to activate. We're going to get heralded here, so that's that. We're going to lose our guy. They still have Mirror Force, but they have nothing else. Dust Tornado's complete blank here. I really don't like main deck Dust Tornado and Fairies. I have talked about this time and time again. I know some people play it. I think it's a mediocre inclusion. It really does not contribute to the game plan in Game 1. Now, I think Dust Tornado is very good in Game 2 and Game 3 when your opponent has Deck Dev, they have Light Mirror, they have all sorts of hate, they have like all their best trap cards. But in Game 1, like your opponent's bottomless is often dead. They have like some trap cards that are maybe not amazing in some circumstances, like I guess Call of the Haunted when you have Christia, that kind of thing. Like they have some cards that don't really do that much Game 1. So your Dust Tornado blind is actually not that good Game 1. So I think it's a pretty bad card to play in the main deck of Fairies. I've tested the shit out of Fairies, like trust me. I think Dust Tornado comes in sideboarded games, it's great. I think Dust Tornado in Game 1, it's a mediocre inclusion in general. I also think the opponent should have set Mirror Force. That was like a catastrophic misplay. Anyway, honest attacks are regular. This whole game is different if they just set Mirror Force. Like, we just lose if they set Mirror Force, probably. Anyway, we dropped Trag. Kind of baited them with the Ragigura. Kind of nice for us. They bounced the Honest. So they have their second Honest, which we do know about. I could switch the Trag and attack, but I've seen D-Prison, which means they're playing Battle Traps. I also really don't love D-Prison in this matchup. I want my opponent to attack me. Like, please attack my Shining Angel. Please attack into my Honest. That sort of thing. Please attack into my DD Warrior Lady. I don't really need D-Prison for any of those cards, do I? Like, the only thing you really need D-Prison for in Game 1 is, like, Revive King Hot Ace. And that's it. Other than that, it's like, please attack me. I would love that. I much prefer cards like Royal Oppression. Cards that are going to, like, help you actually stop the things that murder you as the Fairy player. Anyway, I play safe. I summon Full Helm Knight. This is to protect my guys from DD Warrior Lady. Next turn, I can maybe go for a Hyunlei. They don't Torrential here, so I'm like, okay, they don't have Torrential. So Full Helm Knight attacks for 13. We pass the turn. They set a new back row, and I'm like, okay, maybe the new back row is Torrential. I pick up Rhoda, which is really bad. Our draw has been fucking laughably bad. We've drawn triple Full Helm, triple Emer's Blade, double Ragigura, Airbellum. Like, what the fuck is going on? It's a really unlucky draw, but the opponent misplayed with the Mirror Force, so we're big chilling. We attack with the Full Helm. They deprison my boy. Main phase 2, I'm like, okay, they still don't have Torrential, though, so I can set a monster and I can pass, and I can be chilling. So I set Emers. I pass. They pass. I pick up Heavy Storm. I'm like, all right, that's pretty fire, so I'm going to go for it. And I hit their Mirror Force. I'm like, damn, they really had Mirror Force. I summon Ragigura. I add back my guy. I add back Ragigura. Again, just want to keep my hand up for this Trag. I flip the Emers. I attack with Ragigura, attack with Emers, and I attack with Trag. They have Gores, and I'm like, oh, fuck. This sucks. So they drop Gores. We know the last card is Honest. I try to Synchro here, and I'm like, wait, I don't have a tuner. Oh my god, this is awkward. I would have Black Rosed, obviously, but yeah, I don't have a tuner, so this is still fine. We have Full Helm Knight, or not Full Helm Knight, we have Emer's Blade. The only way this is bad is if they top deck specifically Christia, they can Honest over my guy, and then they can drop Christia. Or they can just double Tribute for Christia and, like, do some stuff. But that's the only way it's really bad, and we still have a bunch of outs to Christia in our deck. Like, we still have, I don't remember, Triple Book, and Brain, Double D-Prison, and Mirror Force. So we still have 7 outs to Christia. That's not a lot. I guess Mind Control would work, too, because they are also at 1100, so I could just Mind Control the Christia and attack directly. But yeah, I guess it wouldn't really work if they decided to attack, drop Honest, and then special Christia main too. So yeah, so we have 7 outs more or less to Christia, but they don't top deck it. We get very lucky. Dimensional Alchemist is the top deck. It's going to hit a DD Warrior Lady, but this is irrelevant. Next turn, we can just Bryonic and the game's over. So that's what happens. The Embers Blade just floats. We go ahead and grab Full Helm. We can just negate this attack. And yeah, on our turn, we can summon the Sangan, Synchro, Search the Cat, pitch 3 cards, and boom, easy clap. So we drew all monsters the entire game and a Heavy Storm, and we were able to get there. So good stuff. Good stuff from X-Sabers. I think if my opponent had set that Mirror Force on that first turn, I mean, he would have been fine. And that's more about understanding your position. So yeah, I think my opponent just didn't really recognize that the Embers Blade can trade with the D-Alch very unfavorably. Anyway, in our sideboarding, we brought in the Lightmares, we brought in the Gravity Bind. I think that's all I brought in. I might have brought in Dyna Kaiku as well. I think I might have just brought in Dyna as a way to out a Resolve Christia. But I'm pretty sure I just brought in the Gravity Bind and the double Lightmares. And we drew double Lightmare, double Gotems. So I'm like, this is pretty bad. Like, obviously, this hand has the opposite problem as the last hand. But this hand's even worse because if they have any monster, I just kind of lose. So, yeah, it's pretty bad. They go ahead and set it back. I'm like, okay, they don't have any monster. So, that's good. And then we also picked up probably one of the best monsters in our deck, which is Sangan. Sangan's really good here because Sangan can find Embers Blade, and then Embers Blade can fuel both our Gotems, and we can be killing it. We summon the Sangan, we attack for 1,000. Get in some chip damage. I set Lightmare, Book of Moon. The reason I don't set Gotems is I don't know. I need my Embers Blade to resolve, more or less. I don't want to set too much into Heavy Storm. If we get stormed here, we can just, like, book our Sangan. We still have a Lightmare for later, so it's fine. Here comes Freed, and I'm like, that's chill. We'll just take 7. Sangan, search the Embers Blade. I wanted to keep the Freed face up so I could crash my Embers Blade, basically. Sets a back row, I summon the Embers. We have Book of Moon for Deprison. One thing that a lot of players mess up is that they leave in Bottomless Trap Hole versus X-Sabers. This card does nothing versus X-Sabers. So, as you can see, Embers is going to crash a couple of times. And then we are going to grab ourselves Full Helm Knight. Full Helm Knight's going to attack the Freed. We'll book the Freed. And then we'll bring back an Embers Blade, attack directly for 1,300. Main phase 2, we could Synchro into Hyunlei, but I was really scared of Solemn Judgment than never seeing another X-Saber. So what I was thinking is, like, we're just not going to make Hyunlei. I'm just going to set a Gotham Z-Call and set Deprison and we'll pass. Now, we do end up getting punished here. They have Breaker, which is a fantastic card in this matchup. This is a very good card against X-Saber for a lot of different reasons. Not only is it, like, busted against back row like Gotham Z-Call, but it's also really good against Lightmare. It's also really good against Deprisons, that kind of thing that people have in post-board games against fairies. I really like Breaker in general in post-board games against fairies because sometimes people will just side out their Bottomless, and a lot of times people will side out their Book of Moon, at least in some capacity. So all the stuff that's chainable against Breaker kind of gets lost, and then Breaker just hits the high-value shit like Lightmare, Deck Dev, that kind of thing. So Breaker is just a really good sideboard card out of Fairy. Again, similar logic to the Dust Tornadoes. These Dust Tornadoes are actually quite good now in Game 2. So is the Breaker as well. So it makes sense to have them in Game 2. They're going to be able to hit our Gotems, which sucks because I would have much rather them hit like Lightmare or Deprison here. But yeah, they hit the Gotems. We have to negate the attack because I want to be able to Hyunlei them. Now if they do have Solemn, I just need to force it. I top deck another X-Saber name, which is okay. We go ahead and Synchro and Hyunlei. And I target all 3. They have 2 chainable, which is, it's okay. It's kind of a 3 for 3, but the Full Helm Knight, or the Embers Blade was kind of free. But then we also lost a card, so it's kind of like, it's not great. It's not great, but we do have Full Helm, we do have another Lightmare, we do have a Gotham Z-Call. It's only awkward, of course, if the opponent has Brain Control, which they don't have, or they don't play it here. So we just negate the attack. They set a monster, they set a background pass. End phase, we got him Z-Call. We do this to play around Torrential. We do this to play around a lot of different things. So I'm going to bring back some of my cards, basically. Now, I only extra deck 1 Hyunlei because the second one never really comes up. If I had made it here, I would have got owned anyway. So it's, like, not really worth mentioning. But yeah, I only extra deck 1 Hyunlei. The second one never comes up. The second Armory Arm comes up a lot more, basically. So does the second Stardust. In a long period of games. I've played this deck a shitload. You can watch the countless replays I have on the channel. Trust me, the second Armory Arm and the second Stardust come a lot more than the second Hyunlei. A lot of times your opponent's not going to be setting more after the first Hyunlei anyway because they're out of back row. Anyway, I just set the cards. I pick up Gravity Bind, which is going to be good at keeping our dudes around. I think we just attack into the set monster and then flip limb. Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah, we take 300, and I set the Gravity Bind. I didn't need to set the Gravity Bind because I still have 2 attack stops, but if they summon a third monster, it's awkward. Anyway, they just attack. I just Gravity Bind, and we just vibe, more or less. I pick up Fall Troll, and I'm like, can't really play that till I find a sweeper. Pick up Ragigura, can't really play that till I find a sweeper. They find Brain Control, which is really tough, because that means they can now Black Rose us. And this situation is definitely going to favor them because they're going to be able to draw like more live cards than we are, basically. They set cards. We're out both our Gotems too, which is one of the ways you can come back from a deficit. Now, Ragigura is pretty okay at it, but he's just going to fall to like whatever monster they summon next. They are out their Torrential and both their Bottomless, but again, those cards are just dead against us. Well, not Torrential, but Bottomless is just dead against X-Sabers anyway. We slam with Air Bellum, but they did find another way to stop it, which is annoying. They summon Honest, and they have a way to run it over, which is annoying as well. We draw Heavy Storm, which is pretty good. Summon Ragigura, add back the Embers Blade, and then we don't attack because I don't want to trigger a Gores. Now here the opponent makes another really, really bad misplay. They don't summon the Honest and attack over Ragigura, which doesn't make any fucking sense at all. Like, it literally doesn't make any sense at all. Like, why would you not do that? You have to keep names off the table. Like, this is just a free name to kill. Sure, maybe I have Trag. Sure, maybe I have an 1800 Trag, but you don't really care about that. You have Honest, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, you don't care about the Trag. You just bounce the Honest. You take 1800, whatever. Next turn, you can Honest over my Trag. It doesn't matter. But you have to get Ragigura out of play, because if you don't, then I just summon fucking Fall Troll, and you lose immediately on the spot, which is exactly what happens. I summon Embers, I summon Fall Troll, I bring back Air Bellum, and it's just, obviously, this is just game. It's just crushing. So, yeah, opponent's going to lose their entire hand and lose the game. They reveal their hand to me here at the end. They show that they have double Honest, Christian. I'm like, yeah, that's not even a bad hand. You could have just attacked over the Ragigura, and this never would have happened. I'm summoning Embers Blade, I'm attacking, but, like, that's fine. You're chilling there, you know what I mean? Like, that's absolutely okay. So, I don't know. I don't understand exactly what happened here, but yeah. Again, Bottomless Trap Hole, not the best card to leave in against X-Sabers. And game 1, I don't love Dust Tornado. So few things here and there, a couple of misplays here and there. And that's kind of why the Fairy deck is very difficult to pilot. If you don't know how X-Sabers functions, if you don't know exactly like all these like little things, you're going to get fucking owned. If you mess up your position even slightly, like the first game where you didn't set the Mirror Force, you're going to get fucking destroyed. And that's exactly what happened. And X-Sabers is one of the most punishing decks. If you make a mistake against X-Sabers, they will run you over and then discard your entire hand. Like, they'll leave you with 0 cards to their 10, and then you'll die too, on top of it. So, yeah, definitely got to play tight versus X-Sabers. All right, next matchup is against yugioh. Against yugioh, I also win the Rock, Paper, Scissors. Now, if you're playing X-Sabers, you got to win the Rock, Paper, Scissors. That's just the way it goes. Opening hand is fucking fantastic. We have Full Helm. We have Starlight Road. This is literally one of the best opening hands you could possibly ask for. This deck probably should play multiple road, but whatever. 1 is fine. I set 1, and then I actually think for quite a while, and then set the second one. The reason I do that is because I just want to, like, bluff that I don't have road, more or less. And it actually ends up coming up. Anyway, he summons Tomato, and then he doesn't attack, which I don't really understand. I feel like you should just attack it. Like, force me to use the effect, at least. If I have a back row, then sure, that sucks, but at least you trade for a back row. You're going to have to trade for them eventually, right? Anyway, we find Rhoda, which is, like, pretty okay. We just Rhoda for... I set first. This is to play around Dust Shoot, and then I Rhoda for Fall Helm. I should have probably set the Rhoda last turn, but I didn't want to make it too obvious that I had Starlight Road, so... Yeah, I kind of liked setting 2 with Road because it makes it less obvious. And then we summon the Full Helm Knight, and I'm just like, okay, we can just vibe. They go ahead and Foolish here. They send Dandelion. They make 2 tokens, and I'm like, that's Full Helm food, if I've ever seen it. They summon Plague, and I'm like, okay, so the deck's playing Plague and Dandelion. What decks play Plague and Dandelion? I guess, like, Dark Zombie Synchro with Dandelion? I don't know. Normally you don't see these 2 cards together because Dandelion's more of a, like, Debris Dragon card. And Debris Dragon needs, like, a very specific extra deck. But Plague wants a bunch of different options. Normally you don't see them together. But It's not bad. It's not bad by any means. Anyway, they go for Black Rose because, like, obviously, I've been baiting them to go into a sweeper this entire game. We rode this, and then we just win. He says prio, and I said you don't need to say priority with these types of effects. This is a trigger effect. You say priority with ignition effects. And then my opponent says spams prio in the chat. Average dueling book user after playing into Starlight Road. Yeah, you say prio with, like, because, like, you have turn player priority to activate an ignition effect. But not like, the trigger effects, they just happen. You don't have to say priority because they either happen or they don't. You know what I mean? Like, you don't activate them whenever you want. You have to activate them on that window. So it's like you just activate it or you don't. It's not like you're using your turn player priority. They just activate. Kind of like Caius, etc. You don't say priority with Caius because that's not the right thing. It's hard to explain to people who obviously don't play this format that much, but yeah, you get the idea. Anyway, we just win because, yeah. I mean, just negate this. This is their whole hand plus everything. Bring it back, make Gothams, attack over, bring back Ragigura. Ragigura adds back Fall Troll, attack, attack, attack. This is like Stardust plus huge board plus their whole hand plus ratio. So yeah, we can make Stardust with Full Helm, Armory, and Ragigura. Like I said, the second Stardust does come up quite a bit. And the second arm also could come up here too, depending on if we wanted to play through Gores or whatever. But yeah, we would have discarded their whole hand. They actually make a mistake showing us the Avarice at all. They should have conceded. This game, we open up with our Fossil Dyna. I sided him in because the opponent looked like they lost to Fossil Dyna. And this is going to be another positional examination game because this is a game we definitely should have lost, but our opponent makes one quite literally positional error that throws the entire game. Okay, they set one back row, they summon Mystic Tomato, and they pass. And I'm like, okay, I can set Rat, they can't attack over it. Keep in mind, I didn't really know much about their deck. I saw Avarice, so I'm like, okay, it's like Quick Draw with a Plague, basically. That's what I was thinking. Anyway, we just set and then set Gothams and then pass. They go ahead and summon Cactus Bouncer, and I'm like, fuck, dude, this sucks ass, because now we're losing the Rat, and that just sucks. They attack it first with the Mystic Tomato. Again, you should probably attack with the Cactus Bouncer first. If it's Raikou, then I have to choose between popping the Bouncer and the Tomato. You know what I mean? Or taking 1400 damage. So you just get more damage in. And also, like, what if my monster has more defense than 1400, which is totally realistic thing. So, yeah. That's what happens. Take 50, and then they attack over the Rat. We get no effect. And that's really unfortunate for us. Our hand can't actually out this, which is really bad. We summon Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer. I summon that guy and attack the Cactus Bouncer, but he says Deprison. He says, oh, how I would kill for Dark Soul. I would not. I think Dark Soul would make this format much worse. I think X-Sabers, as it is right now, is a really cool deck, and it's really fun to play. It feels kind of like a mix of Glads and Fairies. Because, like, Gothams E-Call is kind of like Secutor, and Fall Troll is kind of like Christia, in a way. And then, like, the Battle Recruiters, like Giant Rat and Embersplay, kind of feel like Fairies. But at the same time, it's also Glads because you need 2 normal summons to resolve to make your play. So, like, yeah, it's kind of like that. And then you also get pluses by battle, like Full Helm Knight and stuff. So Book of Moon is insane. So it's like a combination of 2, like, fun positional decks. With Dark Soul, it just becomes a degen, like, combo deck that just chills and then pops off, like, with a million cards. I really don't like that kind of deck. I think it's kind of boring. It's kind of like Zombies, but with less fun, more or less, I would say. With less interesting lines, I suppose. Anyway, the Kaiku gets deprisoned, and we're just getting owned. And this is where the opponent throws everything away. They just throw everything away. So they have this. Last turn they attacked with both their attack position monsters. I didn't have Mirror Force. I just didn't have it. Okay, so I don't have Mirror Force. Like, you know that by now. Because I didn't Mirror Force your 2 monsters last game, and I threw away my Giant Rat for free. I would have 1000% Mirror Forced your monsters there. Even if you had Starlight Road, it trades 1-for-1 with the Mirror Force, and you can't special the Stardust because of Cactus Bouncer. So there's no universe where I'm not Mirror Forcing last turn. The opponent needed to realize this. He didn't, and he gives me a chance to stabilize completely with a Full Helm Knight. So he switches his Tomato to defense. No reason to do this. Horrible, horrible, horrible play. And it may not seem like a bad play. It may seem like something innocuous, but just like, now any Full Helm Knight completely stabilizes my board, and you lose. So there's that. Cactus Bouncer attacks, and I'm like, thank God that Tomato went to defense. Because otherwise, I was looking at like Full Helm attack over the Dandelion, still lose my Full Helm, still lose the game. Whereas now I can attack over the Tomato, he attacks with the Cactus Bouncer, I negate it, and then I just win. So I attack the tomato. Tomato goes. Can't special summon, obviously, because Cactus Bouncer is universal. It's not just one-sided. He goes ahead and attacks. We negate the attack. Summons a Lone Fire Blossom. Again, positional error. Why are you summoning this? What is the point of summoning this here? Just hold it. There's literally no reason to summon it. If I attack over Dandelion, Dandelion's in the graveyard, it can activate because you don't control another plant monster. So you get your 2 tokens. And then you can then you lock me with the 2 fluff tokens. So it's like fine. And if I attack the Cactus Bouncer, well then you're losing anyway. Summoning the Lone Fire just like makes me able to attack over the Dandelion and deny you your tokens. So it's just so much worse. It's just so much worse. It's just throwing away your Lone Fire Blossom and your Dandelion for nothing. Anyway, we pick up Book of Moon, which is an out for the Cactus Bouncer, but like we were able to stabilize and find ourselves in this situation because of the opponent's like 2 like critical positioning errors. Like it's just very, very bad play. He solemns the Full Helm Knight, but I'm like, bruh, I have Book of Moon. I can just book the Cactus Bouncer and bring that Full Helm Knight back, bro. I don't understand why he'd solemn this. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. A little bit of math is done here. Anyway, we book the Cactus Bouncer, run it over. We're able to grab ourselves back the Full Helm Knight and run over the Lone Fire. And this is just crushing. Now, I do think for a fair minute here, I'm like, should I special the Fall Troll? And I elect not to. I'm thinking you can special the Fall Troll to play around like bottomless, but if they have bottomless in game 2 versus X-sabers, like, alright, maybe the way our opponent's been playing, they left in bottomless versus X-sabers, okay. But like, it's literally only bottomless torrential. Solemn's already gone. They only set Solemn last turn, which means they didn't have additional back row to set next to the Solemn, so they'd have to top deck it. And then on top of that, one of the ways they're like getting out of this situation is like Black Rose. Black Rose just would kill my Fall Troll anyway. So the only way I'm specialing Fall Troll is if I'm going Gotems to hit like 2 random cards out of their hand, which isn't great. So I'm just gonna pass. He switches the Dandy to defense to protect his life total. Sets Sangan, then passes a turn. We draw Call of the Haunted. Now we can go for Fossil Dyna, which is really good. Deny the tokens and lock him out from making plays next turn. We attack over the Sangan. He searches for Mystic Tomato, so he's on like some multiple tomato like plant deck. We attack for 1200. On his turn, he summons Tomato and attacks the Dyna. Now we don't need to negate this because we just win next turn with Fall Troll, so we just let the Dyna die. And that's what happens. Then we special the Fall Troll, normal summon Giant Rat, Synchro into Urbellum, special summon back the Full Helm Knight, and this is like giga lethal because I can Gotems and then like destroy all his shit, and yeah, basically, yeah. He says, did you just top that Fall Troll? No, I did not. I let my Dyna die instead of negating the attack with full Helm because I wanted to special my Fall Troll and activate my Gotham Z-Call and go for this super lethal. Let's see what else was in their hand though, out of curiosity. Ooh, Dark Armed. Ooh, Titanial in hand. That's funny. Cyber Valley, also funny. Gale, nice. Very good. Very, very good. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about this other than he made those 2 really, really big errors and it let us claw ourselves back into this game. We should have probably just straight up lost to that Cactus Bouncer. By the time we would have found that Book of Moon, we would have been too far behind to really mount a comeback had he just not switched that Mystic Tomato to defense. If he never did that, I don't think we would have ever lost. So, food for thought. I'll see you guys in the next vid. Don't forget to like and subscribe. A lot of people like X-sabers, so if you're a big fan of this deck, go ahead, click like and subscribe. Try out the list. Tell me your thoughts in the comments, or don't. I don't really care. I'll see you in the next vid. Peace.